Hey there guys, I am making yet another of what I call my latest videos. This is the most recent sewing machine restoration that I had kind of run lately. I was getting my inventory built back up after the summer because I surprisingly had a lot of people getting machines from me, and I didn't really expect summer to be busy. Not sure why it was this year. Usually it's fall, winter, and spring when I get the most people asking me about vintage sewing machines. So I restore vintage sewing machines, all metal machines from what I call the vintage or the heirloom era. And this is one of those. I Sometimes I'll go a while without seeing a NECCHI vintage machine that I want to restore. But here lately I've had several. You may have seen my video on, hold on, I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer here. You may have seen my video on one recently. It was a black one. And this is another NECCHI BU. This is from, this machine would come in right around 1953, anywhere from 1950, 1953. And this machine is called the NECCHI BU MIRA, M-I-R-A. And it was the most fancy or deluxe version of the NECCHIs you could get that year. And this machine is, those of you who know this machine already know this, but for those of you who may be new and trying to research on your own, trying to figure out what machine you need, this machine is important and was a groundbreaking achievement for several reasons. Up until the NECCHI company was going into home machines, before they did that, they made industrial sewing machines. And a lot of the features that we take for granted in home machines were once only available industrial, and that was true of zigzag. You could zigzag or overlock in industrial machines, but you couldn't in home machines until the NECCHIs came out. They were the very first models to come out with zigzag. This model, or this version, has it has both straight and zigzag capability, which is about 99% of all the stitches you're ever going to use in sewing anyway. I don't even use zigzag for my own sewing. I use straight only. But for those of you who need to do zigzag or overlocking, you can do it with this machine. Let's see, what else to tell you. This machine has wonderfully simple controls. You'll see me using them as I do the demonstration here in the video. It has a wonderful bobbin winder on the front, and there's going to be a list. When I put the post up, you'll see a list of all the work that was done and the different items of restoration that I do. And one thing more I want to say before I start sewing with this and demonstrating for you guys, that's the reason to do the video, so you can see how the machine sews, is that I've restored over 100. I'm coming up on a big milestone soon, but I'm well over 100 machines. And I have seen machines in a whole variety in terms of states of condition, and they always all come back. But some machines, they will sew beautifully, but from the aesthetic point of view, sometimes, they have scratches. Most of the time, the paint's not perfect. But occasionally I get a machine that, when I see it, I think either someone didn't sew very much on it, because this machine is remarkable for its condition. There are almost no scratches or nicks in the paint. There's one right over here down by the bobbin winder, but I can't find any more on there. And there was not a lot of old residue. So something tells me whoever got this machine, maybe they didn't enjoy sewing very much and they never used it, but they took really good care of it because they knew how incredibly expensive it was when it was new. This machine comes with a gorgeous mahogany table and a number of other things. And you'll see all that in the listing. One thing I did want to mention to you is there's a cool little, it's like a promotion. It looks like a book of matches, but in fact it's a little hand sewing repair kit that was in the drawer. And then of course there's a NECCHI oil bottle, and you can use the original NECCHI oiler if you want to. And I had forgotten I had this and did not have it in the photos with the other stuff. So, but anyway, this machine will be priced about $50 more than what I normally price my NECCHIs at, and that's because you almost never see one with this kind of paint finish. I mean, it literally, it's like it came out of the showroom, and that's very unusual. For a lot of people, it doesn't matter And if you need a good solid sewing machine that has been restored, I have many. So you don't necessarily buy a machine for the aesthetic reasons alone, although it does matter to quite a few people when they're looking at getting a machine. They want to see, some people like different colors. This particular one is sort of a sage green. But anyway, I'm going to turn her on. There's a little switch on the side here. And the light comes on when you turn the machine on. I don't even know if it picked up on for you guys because it's still daylight here. But NECCHIs are remarkable. They have special little places when you go to oil, put your sewing machine oil in. They have a little spring valve that puts sort of it's like a spring-loaded cap to keep dust out. That's one of the little details of the NECCHI. And let's see, I'm going to start out with sort of a kind of a medium light fabric here. I've got a light thread and I've got a dark fabric, and I'm going to put this on long straight stitch initially because I want you guys to see the quality of the stitch it makes. When you're looking at buying any sewing machine that is vintage or used, you definitely want to find one that's been gone through the way I do them, and then you also want to test them and see how they sew. So let's and I'll do back tacking. The vast majority of the machines that I work on have reverse or what is called back tack, and that feature has been around for a very long time. I believe since the 1920s or 30s. Although machines continue to be made without it, it's fairly common to have that. You have to go back to the treadle era when you start to see machines without reverse. There's a few exceptions to that. Anyway, I'm slowing this down. I want you guys to see the very beautiful slow needle control that I've got, and that's a really useful thing to have. Even if you're an experienced sewer, you may want that kind of control. And we'll come over here and we'll do some zigzagging. I'll show you the feature that was a big deal right when the 50s began, and NECCHI was able to kind of get a pretty big head start considering they were a new brand, and they made a real dent in the market because they had zigzag. So again, if you say, hey, I want to do zigzag, no problem. I have a little chrome knob here. I just turn it, loosen it, I come over. And I'm going to do a wide zigzag, although we could certainly do a narrower one, but the wide one will show it better for you guys on camera. And you're going to see, again, this is the feature that really made NECCHI famous. No one else had this in a home sewing machine at the time. One of the things I've noticed about NECCHIs from this era is that they are built incredible, and you'll sometimes see people online call them industrial quality. What they're really saying to you is they are made, the parts that they are made from are industrial quality, but it's not an industrial machine. This machine would not have been used in a factory. That would have been very unusual. I'll speed her up here, let you see it run faster. It'll go faster still. I'm just gonna, I don't know how the fast speed will show on the camera, but let's take a look. And she just, she runs incredibly fast if you want to. But I like going a little slower for the camera when I'm showing this to you guys. So let's take a look. Tighten my tension just a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to shorten my stitch length, because NECCHIs have another feature that I find interesting. Any zigzag machine will do this, but the NECCHI does it, I think, more beautifully than any. And when you have a very short stitch length and you're doing zigzag, you can create a satin stitch, right? It almost looks like an embroidery type stitch, and in a way it is. And the NECCHIs do this, I think, better than any machine that I've ever seen. And a lot of machines do it well, so I don't want to... If you don't have a NECCHI, it doesn't mean you can't do this, and it looked nice. One of the things I've also noticed is that the body, the casting of the NECCHI bodies is thicker and heavier than a lot of the Japanese machines that would copy it and follow along later. Not sure why, but it just could be because they were an industrial company. I don't know. Let's see here. I'm going to pull my fabric out. Get my scissors here. And I'm going to pull this up so you guys can see. I hope my voice isn't fading out too much on the video. You guys can see. This is what I'm going on and on about. You can see here, you'll see the zigzag. You'll see that amazing satin stitch. That's an incredible, you look how uniform the stitch is. And then come over here and you'll see the straight. This is the initial stitching I did earlier. See if I can get this to focus in. There we go. Make sure that I'm focusing in and you guys can see. Yeah, that's a pretty incredible stitch to make. And then of course I have like a dark red thread on the other side. It doesn't show up very well on this fabric. And we'll see if I can add a little bit more light so my stitches will show up and have more stitching to do for you guys. I want it to show up well. Okay guys, what I did was I got a little bit more light in here. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, that's a little bit more light. I wanted to make sure that this was going to pick up for all of you. There we go. Yeah, I wanted to get up close. Okay, I'm going to keep moving up and do some more material for you guys. This is a very thick upholstery fabric. So for those of you who do upholstery work, people who do upholstery, people who do the sails for boats are some of the more common people that I get who want this machine. I think there are other machines that would work for them as well, but let's see, I'm going to go back to straight here. But they seem to really have a fondness for this machine, so that's just something I've noticed over time. Oops, let's get my stitch long again here. And get a hold of my thread tails. Kind of cobbled a couple of pieces of fabric together here, so bear with me. I'm going to come back down, get in a better spot, which will hopefully show this off a little bit better. Okay. And I went really fast. Normally I don't do that with a thick fabric, and I don't suggest it. Right now I have an Oregon size 16 needle, the best quality needle I can find. Let's go back one more time. That's more the speed that I really like when I'm sewing through heavy stuff. It's just easier on the needle. Machine doesn't mind going faster, but your needle might mind. And here we go. This is that bottom thread that's red, and you can see that thread a little bit better. And again, it went through, it's pretty thick fabric. If you do slip covers or any kind of upholstery, I think that is an example of a machine. This is an example of a machine that can handle it. Now I've got, this is a nylon, a dense nylon fabric, sort of like Cordura, which is a brand name of nylon. I've got 1, 2, 3 layers of this. Sometimes I get customers who want to make backpacks or gear of some sort, and they also need machines that will go through heavy material and not create problems. And this again is one of them. I'll do some back tacking here. And come back one more pass, and then I'll bring this up to show you guys. And I'll go to medium speed, and again, I'm doing that intentionally. It's the machine has not bogged down, but I don't think needles should be pushed at when you're going through heavy, dense stuff. You shouldn't push the needle to its limit. So here we go, and you can see here the stitches through the 3 layers of the nylon. Went right through. I've got some garment leather. And going through 2 layers of garment leather, and goes right through it. So again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to set up a time for you to see the machine. And I'm almost out of time on my video. So anyway, thanks for watching, folks.